Morocco is a North African country bordering on the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea. It is distinguished by its Berber, Arabian, and European cultural influences. Marrakesh's Medina is a maze-like medieval quarter that offers entertainment in its Gemana Efena Square and souks, schools that's marketplaces selling ceramics, jewelry, and metal lanterns. The capital, called the Rabat Kasbah of the Odayas, is a 12th century royal fort overlooking the water. Since Morocco's economy is considered a relatively liberal economy governed by the law of supply and demand, let's now look into its economy. Since 1993, the country has followed a policy of privatization of certain economic sectors which used to be in the hands of the government, and Morocco has become a major player in African economic affairs. Since independence, Morocco has remained a relatively stable economy. It has the fifth largest economy in Africa and wields significant influence in both Africa and the Arab world. It is considered a middle power in global affairs and holds membership in the Arab League, the Arab Maghreb Union, the Union for the Mediterranean, and the African Union. Morocco is a unitary semi-constitutional monarchy with an elected parliament. Morocco has become a major player in African economic affairs and is the sixth largest economy in Africa by GDP, that's PPP, purchasing power parity. Morocco was ranked as the first African country by Economics Intelligence Unit's Quality of Life Index ahead of South Africa. However, in the years since that first place ranking was given, Morocco has slipped into fourth place behind Egypt. Government reforms and steady yearly growth in the region of 4 to 5% from 2000 to 2007, including a 4.9% year-on-year growth in 2003 to 2007 helped the Moroccan economy to become much more robust as compared to a few years earlier. For 2012, the World Bank forecast a rate of 4% growth for Morocco and 4.2% for the following year. This quoting in 2013. Between 2000 and 2019, the share of Moroccan workers in agriculture declined, while those that are in the industry increased. That's a kind of an increase in industrial output. Now, let's look into tourism. Coming to tourism, you know that the tourism is one of the most, they are highly dependent on tourism. So it's one of the most important sectors in the Moroccan economy. It is a strong tourist industry focused on the country's coast, culture, and history. In 2022 alone, tourism in Morocco had surpassed the average number of visitors in the 2010s, while setting all-time high in 2023 with 14.5 million international tourist arrivals. And the MOD, that's the Moroccan economy, MOD, topping 104.7 billion in receipts. In 2010, the government launched its Vision 2020. In this Vision 2020, it plans to make Morocco one of the top 20 tourist destinations in the world and to double the annual number of international arrivals to 20 million by 2020. In November 2024, Morocco had nearly 16 million tourists visiting that contributed to 7% of its GDP. Tourism is increasingly focused on Morocco's culture, such as its ancient sites. The modern tourist industry capitalizes on Morocco's ancient and Islamic sites and on its landscape and the cultural history. 60% of Morocco's tourists visit for its culture and heritage. You know Agadir. Agadir is a major coastal resort and has a third of all Moroccan bed nights. It is a base for tours to the Atlas Mountains. Other resorts in northern Morocco are also very popular. There's a large government sponsored marketing campaigns to attract tourists, advertise Morocco as an inexpensive and exotic yet safe place for tourists. Most of the visitors to Morocco continue to be European, with French nationals making up almost 20% of all its visitors. Most Europeans visit between April and August. Um, Casablanca is the major cruise port in Morocco and has a developed market for tourists in Morocco. The Majorial Botanical Garden in Marrakech is a popular tourist attraction as well. It was bought by the fashion designer, uh, the French Vet Saint Laurent and Peribach in 1980. And as of 2006, activity and adventure tourism in the Atlas and the Reef Mountains are the fastest growth area in the Moroccan tourism. These locations have walking and the trekking opportunities from late March to mid-November. The government is investing in trekking circuits. They are also developing desert tourism in competition with Tunisia. About 40% of the nation's workforce, making it the largest employer in the country. That's tourism. In the rainy sections of the northwest, the barley, wheat, and other cereals can be raised without irrigation. On the Atlantic coast,
बेहतरीन
where
मगरबी
there
मुल्क
are
है इस मुल्क ने उन
extensive plants, olives, citrus fruits, and wine grapes are grown largely with water supplied by the artesian wells. Uh, Livestock are raised and forests yield cork, cabinet wood, and building materials. Part of the maritime population fishes for its livelihood. Agade, Isera, Jedida, and Larache are among the important fishing harbors. Both the agriculture and fishing industries are expected to be severely impacted, by the climate change. Moroccan agricultural production also consists of oranges, tomatoes, potatoes, olives, and olive oil. High quality agricultural products are usually exported to Europe. Morocco produces enough food for domestic consumption except for grains, sugar, coffee, and tea. More than 40% of Morocco's consumption of grains and flour is imported from the United States and France. The agriculture industry in Morocco enjoyed a complete tax exemption until 2013. Many Moroccan critics say that rich farmers and large agricultural companies were taking too much benefit of not paying the taxes, and that poor farmers were struggling with high costs and are getting very poor support from the state. But in 2014, as part of the finance law, it was decided that agricultural companies with a turnover of greater than MOAD 5 million would pay progressive corporate income taxes. Let's talk about infrastructure here. Aburak, codenamed RUGV20 high-speed train set at Tanja Ville railway station in November 2018, according to Global Competitiveness Report of 2019, said that Morocco ranked 32nd in the world in terms of roads, 16th in the sea, and the 45th in air, and the 64th. in railways. This gives Morocco the best infrastructure rankings in the African continent. Um, to meet the growing domestic demand, the Moroccan government invested more than $15 billion from 2010 to 2015 in upgrading its basic infrastructure. Morocco also has the largest port in Africa and the Mediterranean, the Tangier, which is ranked the 18th in the world with a handling capacity of over 9 million containers. It is situated in the Tangier Free Economic Zone and serves as a logistic hub for Africa and the world. In 2014, Morocco began the construction of the first high-speed railway system in Africa, linking the cities of Tangier and the Casablanca. It was inaugurated in 2018 by the king, flowing over a decade of planning and construction by Moroccan National Railway Company Office National de Chemins de Fer (ONCF). It is the first phase of what is planned to eventually be a 1,500-kilometer rail network in Morocco. An extension of the line to Marrakesh is already being planned. The Moroccan Ministry of Equipment, Transport and Logistics aims to build an additional 3,380 kilometers of expressway and the 2,100 kilometers of highway by 2030 with SNCF. The project came at an estimated, which is expected to go up over $9.6 billion. The project also involved purchasing an 18 high-speed trains and 150 multi-service trains. Let's talk about the energy. How do you get power in Morocco? Solar cells panels in eastern Morocco in 2008 is about 56% of Morocco's electricity supply. It was provided by coal. However, forecasts indicate that energy requirement in Morocco will rise 6% per year between 2012 and 2050. A new law was passed encouraging Moroccans to look for ways to diversify the energy supply, including more renewable resources. The Moroccan government has launched a project to build a solar thermal energy power plant and also looking into the use of natural gas as a potential source of revenue for the Morocco's government. Morocco has embarked upon the construction of large solar energy farms to lessen dependence on fossil fuels and to eventually export electricity to Europe. But on 17 of April 2022, uh, this there's this Rabat Moroccan agency for solar energy called MASEN and the Ministry of Energy Transition and Sustainable Development announced the launch of phase one of the mega project Nord 2 solar energy plant, which is a multi-site solar energy project with a total capacity set at 400 megawatts. Um, let's talk about narcotics. Narcotics is one of the Africa's problems. There are cannabis fields at Katema Tijuan Mountain. Cannabis field at Katema Tijuan Mountain in Morocco. Since the 7th century, cannabis has been cultivated in the Reef region. In 2004, according to United Nations World Drugs Report, cultivation and transformation of cannabis represents 0.5% of the national GDP of Morocco in 2002. And according to a French Ministry of Interior 2006 report, 80% of the cannabis resin called the hashish consumed in Europe comes from the Reef region in Morocco, which is mostly mountainous terrain in the north of Morocco, also hosting plains that are very fertile and expanding from Mewia River and the Ras Kabdena in the east to the Tangier and Cape Satel, Cape Spatel in the west. Also, the region extends from the Mediterranean in the south, home of the Waja River, to the north. In addition to that, Morocco is a transit point for cocaine from South America destined for Western Europe. Um, Water supply and sanitation, let's look into that. Water supply and the sanitation in Morocco are provided by a wide array of utilities. They range from private companies in the largest city, Casablanca, Rabat, and two other cities, to public municipal utilities in 13 other cities, as well as a national electricity and water company. Um, um, okay. Morocco's office, National de la Portel (ONEP), is in charge of bulk water supply in about 500 towns, according to a study by the National Liquid Sanitation Master Plan (SNDL) that started in 1994. Only 15 of their 63 treatment plants are operational. Only 15 of their 63 treatment plants are operational, and out of approximately 500 million cubic meters of wastewater generated annually, 95% is discharged or treated into the natural water bodies. Though there has been substantial improvement in access to water supply and to a lesser extent to sanitation over the past 15 years, remaining challenges include low level of wastewater treatment. Only 13% of collected wastewater is being treated. Lack of house connections in the poorest urban neighborhoods, and the limited sustainability of rural systems. That's 20% of rural system are estimated not to function. In 2005, a national sanitation program was approved that aims at treating 60% of collected waste water and connecting 80% of urban households to sewers by 2020. The issue of lack of water connection for some of the urban poor is being addressed as part of the national human development initiative, under which residents of informal settlements have received some light titles, and have fees waived, that are normally paid to utilities in order to connect to water and the sewer network. Um, there's also a considerable investment program of about 15 billion MOAD was meant to cover the centers managed by the ONEP from 2003 to 2017. Considerably, Japanese and Canadian corporators and the AFESD have also financed several projects for the ONEP. So you can see, Morocco is quite an interesting and a very beautiful people, very beautiful country, very beautiful women. Hosting one of the most beautiful women in the whole of Africa. Quite welcoming. Uh, Culture is at the center of Morocco's tourism. Ancient series is also a very big center for Morocco's tourism.
My friends, you are encouraged to visit Morocco. This is the pearl of the North Africa. This is a shining example of development. This is a shining example of good leadership in the Northern Africa Maghreb. Quite a very beautiful place for those in the film industry. This is quite an encouraging and quite a very beautiful place to make your movies. Visit Morocco, invest in Morocco. It's well secured. It's a good, very good leadership. It has very beautiful, very, very, very beautiful people. Considering its um, close proximity to the Spanish Ceuta and Melilla border regions. It's also quite a, um, a very good place where you can see Europe in Africa. You are advised. I'm joining you, my friends. This is a very beautiful place to be. This is an economy to invest in. Look at the seas. Look at the very beautiful roads. Look at this, how secured this Northern African region is. Please, I urge you to subscribe to my channel, to comment and likes to help us keep doing this.
काम है। बड़ी बड़ी गाड़ियां सहरा पर भगाई जाती हैं। शाम के वक्त बेहतरीन कैंपिंग का इंतजाम होता है। खाने के वसी इंतजामात किए जाते हैं। दूसरे मुल्कों से आए लोग, खास तौर पर लड़कियां, जगह जगह फोटो शूट करवाती नजर आएंगी। ये सहरा शाम के वक्त खासा ठंडा हो जाता है और दिन के वक्त खासा गर्म। नाजरीन, क्या आप जानते हैं कि मराकश के लोग पाकिस्तानियों से क्यों मोहब्बत करते हैं? चलिए मैं आपको बताता हूँ। 1952 में मराकश लीडर ने अक़वाम मुत्तहिदा में अपनी आजादी के लिए आवाज बुलंद की, तो उन्हें फ्रांस की तरफ से रोक दिया गया, क्योंकि मराकश उस वक्त फ्रांस के जेर असर था। इसलिए एक ही मुल्क के दो लोग अपनी मुख्तलिफ बातें अक़वाम मुत्तहिदा में पेश नहीं कर सकते। इस इजलास में पाकिस्तान के पहले वजीर खारजा भी मौजूद थे, जिन्होंने मराकश लीडर की हमायत की और उन्हें पाकिस्तानी शहरियत देने की ऑफर की, ताकि वो पाकिस्तानी प्लेटफॉर्म से बोल सकें। रातों रात उन्हें पाकिस्तान सिटी है, जिसे अरबी में अल रबात कहा जाता है, ये अच्छी ट्रैवल एजेंसी से राब्ता करें, नहीं तो पाकिस्तान में मौजूद मराकश एम्बेसी, जो कि इस्लामाबाद में मौजूद है, वहां जाकर यहाँ का वीजा आसानी से हासिल कर सकते हैं। मराकश का वीजा पाकिस्तानियों के लिए ऑन अराइवल सहूलत फराहम नहीं करता। नाजरीन, अगर हम बात करें मराकश के लोगों के मिजाज की, तो ये लोग एक खुश मिजाज और इंतहाई ओपन माइंड हैं। यहाँ की औरतें निकाब करके अबाया भी पहनती हैं और फहश कपड़े भी पहनती हैं। मराकश के लोग बहुत अयाश माने जाते हैं, खास तौर पर लड़कियां। यहाँ की लड़कियां और नौजवान लड़के शीशा क्लब बहुत ज्यादा जाते हैं। मराकश के नाइट बार्स बहुत फहश हैं। खूबसूरत से खूबसूरत लड़कियां डांस करती नजर आएंगी। कहने को तो ये एक इस्लामिक मुल्क है, मगर यहाँ शराब बहुत ज्यादा पी जाती है। यहाँ की लड़कियों को अरब मुल्कों में मोरक्कन गर्ल्स के नाम से पहचाना जाता है। मराकश लड़कियां दुनिया के कई मुमालिक में, खास तौर पर दुबई, कतर, कुवैत, बहरीन जैसे मुल्कों में डांस क्लब्स में और फहाशी के अड्डों में खासा काम करती हैं। मराकश की अगर हम बीचेस पर नजर डालें, तो गैर मुल्की लोग और मुल्की लोग अच्छा खासा यूरोपीय माहौल बनाने में कामयाब होते हैं। सब कुछ शरेआम होता है, कोई रोक टाक नहीं। अब हम सैर करेंगे मराकश के ब्लू सिटी को, जिसे शफशाउन सिटी भी कहा जाता है। पूरे मराकश समेत ये शहर दुनिया में मशहूर और मारूफ है। इस शहर के घर मुकम्मल नीले रंग के हैं। ये शहर इंतहाई खूबसूरत और साफ सुथरा है। ये शहर नीचे से ऊपर की जानिब ऊंचाई चढ़ता है। विजिटर्स इस शहर को शौक से देखने आते हैं। ये शहर तकरीबन अब मुकम्मल हुकूमत रब्बाई करने लगी। नाज़रीन, मराकश दरअसल शुमाली अफ्रीका के मगरबी इलाके का एक मुल्क है और ये अफ्रीका का सबसे खुशहाल 1955 में फ्रांस से आजादी हासिल की है। अगर हम इस मुल्क का कुल रकबा देखें, तो ये 4,46,300